Hey everybody, it's Anthony Brogdon. I got a smooth guy on the channel today to talk about mentorship.
Yes, sir.
Man, he's a good guy. We talked not offline a little while ago. My man said, "This is what I do. I'm here to help the community."
That's right.
And that's what I'm trying to do through my movie, everybody, Foot Soldiers, is to bring light to the concept of mentorship, how I believe, and I know he believes, and he's going to talk about it in a minute. It's the answer.
Yes, sir.
Strengthening the community. So I'm gonna let him talk. That's what we at right now. Let him do his thing. So come on, my friend, introduce yourself. Tell us about the organization, what you do, so on and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I do appreciate it, Brother Anthony, for even thinking about having us. Anytime we can get a platform to really talk about the importance of mentoring and what mentoring does for young people, we're happy to take it. So my name is LaNelle Ramey. I'm the executive director of Mentor Greater Milwaukee here in Milwaukee. We've been around now since 2019. So we're still, relatively new organization, but we're super excited about working and partnering with, the programs throughout Milwaukee, man, and the young people that they serve to really continue to build the importance of mentoring and what that means and what that looks like and what that feels like for young people. So excited to be here.
How did this become how did something you want to do for a career?
It's funny because it sort of fell in my lap, really, right? When they talked about bringing Mentor Greater Milwaukee here into the city, I was really only on the planning side of things. And so I worked with hiring an executive director, setting up all the base foundation for what the organization was going to look like. And then the executive director we hired decided she was moving to Texas on us, right? So I started partnering and, I did some interim work. And the next thing I know, I said, you know what? I started doing mentoring myself back in 1994. And I realized I had found a niche. And so it just made sense for me to continue to take on the work that we started. And I became executive director, and I haven't looked back since.
I love it. Are you all a part of a national organization, the Mentoring Inc., and you're a chapter? What does your group do?
Yeah, so we're an affiliate of Mentor National, which means, Mentor National really is I like to say they are our foundation that offers us the support. So when you think about an affiliate, you can have us doing the work in the city of Milwaukee, but Mentor National has all of these different arms throughout cities and states, whether it's in, DC or it's in Florida, Minnesota, and they're able to, get kind of all of us together to kind of figure out what best practices are. And then, when you look at best practices, that's the best way to do stuff. So if they're doing something in Baltimore, why do I need to replicate something? I can just take what they got and make it work here for the organization. So Mentor National really is that foundation for all of us throughout the country.
What is mentorship? What do you do as in your job? What do you do daily? And let's start there, and then as a follow-up.
Absolutely. So my role here, and Mentor's role here in Milwaukee in particular, is we have three main pillars. One of those pillars is how do we close the mentoring gap? So when you look at mentoring organizations throughout the greater Milwaukee area, in particular, 1 in 3 young people do not have a mentor in their life. So our job is to be able to help support programs throughout the city by being kind of a middle kind of recruitment person for them. So that's the one thing we do. The second thing we do is advocacy. How do we get more people to understand the importance of mentoring and what mentors do for young people? And we do that in a host of ways, by whether it's workshops, whether it's media, social media, whatever it might be. And then the final thing is trainings and workshops. How do we make sure mentoring organizations, whether they serve 10 kids a day or whether they serve 1,000 a day, how do we make sure there's a basic kind of line of capacity through training that's being given? Because it doesn't matter how big your organization is. If you're a mentoring organization, we want to make sure you're offering quality services for the young people you're serving.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. What is quality services there?
One, I always tell people, like, if you're going to be a mentor, there's 3 things I tell people they got to come to the table with. They got to come to the table, one, being open and vulnerable. You can't expect to work with a young person if you're not going to come in and put your whole self in front of them, right? Because they're going to see right through phony and fake. The second thing is you got to be willing to share your story and your journey. If you're gonna come tell the young person about how they're gonna get where they gotta go, you better talk about where you came from and how you got where you were.
I
So
love
that's the
it.
second thing. And then the third thing I say is very simple: commitment to cultural competency. And when I talk about cultural competency, I'm not just talking about race, even though that's one thing, but it's also the neighborhood you go in, the school you went to, what kind of economics you grew up in, because those are all different cultures. So when you have a commitment to that, that means whatever young person is in front of you, you're going to show respect to them based on wherever they came from. So those three things are very important when I see mentorship.
Tell us a story of how a mentor came in somebody's life and turned their life around.
Wow.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
a
know you
good
got
one.
a bunch of them, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but I'm gonna tell my own story,
There
right?
you
And
go.
I'm gonna talk about me because I tell people all the time, like mentors aren't just for the kid who's doing bad or he's the bad kid or he's no mentors for every child. So I come from a family. My mom and dad were actively engaged in my life. They were there every moment. I always tell people right now, I have the top two parents in the world. I don't care what you say. My parents were the best, right? They the GOAT. But it wasn't until I met a man named Mr. Thomas Wild, who was my high school homeroom teacher when I was a ninth grader. And Mr. Wild saw something in me that I really didn't see in myself. Now, my parents might have saw it, but I didn't see it in myself. So between my freshman year and my senior year, Mr. Wild would always just pour into me. He would always just be right there. He always like, LaNelle, is that what we're supposed to be doing right now? Or he'd be like, hey, LaNelle, come do this with me. So he'd give me leadership roles or he'll remind me when I'm not being a leader. But it wasn't until my senior year that I realized his vested interest in me was just to see the greatness in me. And I remember it was January 1990.
Wow.
I hadn't applied to college. That was my graduating year. And he came to me, he sat me down, he said, here's the college you're going to apply for. And that's all he said. And then he dropped his application on the table, and it was an application to Morehouse College. And I looked up at him like, I knew what Morehouse was, but honestly, I was just like, okay, Mr. Wild, if you say so, Now, here's the deal I tell people: Mr. Wild was a white guy, he was a white teacher, but he didn't care what I looked like. Again, commitment to cultural competency.
Right.
And he was committed to me. So I completed that application to Morehouse. It was the only college application I had done at the time, and I got into Morehouse College. And I spent my freshman year at Morehouse, and then I eventually transferred and came back home to Marquette University. But to this day, me and Mr. Wild still communicate. And that's the thing we tell people with mentoring. Mentoring has a lifelong term effect on people's lives. Even if you don't see that person every year, you remember what they did for you 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And those are the things that we want people to understand, leaving those long lasting legacies where young people don't forget you poured into them. And when you do that, they automatically come out on the other side of this thing of life, we call it, feeling more confident. And that's the thing we want people to understand. Like, there's one data point that I absolutely love. And it says this: young people with a mentor in their life are 130% more likely to hold a leadership position. That tells you right there, that's because mentors are pouring confidence into them. Things they never thought they would do, they are now doing because a mentor said, you can do that. You can be a leader. You can hold that down. And that's what we tell people, like, when you do that for a young person, then there's no ceiling for them.
Sure.
They're able to excel at levels that we can see as unprecedented. And that's why mentorship is so important.
I noticed in your backdrop you got Milwaukee Bucks. Is there
That's
a
right.
relationship between the two? What's that about?
Absolutely. So when Mentor Grade and Milwaukee were founded, we had three very critical partners at the table. There was the city of Milwaukee, there was Milwaukee Public Schools, and then there was the Milwaukee Bucks. They came into this support not only saying we're going to give money, right? But the Milwaukee Bucks also gave office space. They gave support to their marketing departments, their accounting departments. So they basically got all in out the gate. And because they believe in the culture of mentoring, not only to support the community, but within their own organization by having their own mentoring program for young people.
I
So
love
that's
it.
why we say powered by the Milwaukee Bucks, because their support was from the very beginning of supporting to creating Mentor Greater Milwaukee, and they've been with us every step of the way.
If you were to give a number, how many mentors would you like to sign up ASAP in the next month, what have you, that could make a difference?
Listen, if I could get 1,000 new mentors a month, listen, I would be in heaven. But the truth of the matter is, we don't see anywhere close to that number. We may see less than 1%. And the reason I say 1,000, young people need mentors in every aspect of their life, not just in the community. It should be in their school districts. It should be in their neighborhoods. It should be when they're on the job. There should be an adult mentor ready to bring them and embrace them. So when they are at school going through something, there should be a mentor right there to deal with it. When they're at work and they're dealing with something having a bad day, there should be someone to deal with it. When they head at home and they want to stop at the neighborhood community center or the neighborhood store, there should be somebody waiting to help and support them, because that's what it takes to ensure that them young people know that, you know what, we're here for you. You know, we always say this term, where the children are our future. Listen, our youth are our now. They are our now. They're the ones that we're, you know, hoping can take our jobs in the future. But if we're not doing anything for them now, how are they going to do it if we start wanting them to do in the future?
I love it.
So that's my mindset. Like, if I can have 1,000 people every month signing up, that means every time a young person goes somewhere, there should be an adult who is there to take them on as a mentor. And those are the things that I think are important that people don't really realize. Like, you know, a kid goes to school and he can't find an adult to lean in on. Guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna go to work mad. Or he go to work and there's not an adult there to lean on. He gonna leave work mad. So how do we make sure that they got somebody there that's able to support and be that guide on the side as they take this journey through this thing that we call life, right? So
I love it. Is there a slogan that you go by in terms of mentorship or something like that?
Well, you know, everybody has one, right? Like, yeah, you know, I chuckle because, you know, we got our mission and we get a vision. But at the end of the day, I just say a mentoring mindset. We want adults to have a mentoring mindset, which means basically you are willing to have a relationship with a young person. Keyword being relationship. And I have to tell adults this all the time. A relationship is when you both think you're in a relationship. You can't be an adult talking about, I got a relationship with a young person by being a mentor, and that young person looking at you like, you ain't my mentor, right? So a mentoring mindset says, as adults, we are going to go out here and thrive to ensure that a young person knows that I care about them, that I got their back, that I'm there to support them. And those are things that are critical to us. So
I love it. What is the website, the name of the organization again? How do people sign up to be a part of it? What have you?
Absolutely.
So that if they watch this, there's action taken.
Absolutely. They can go to MilwaukeeMentor.com. That's our website. They get all the information on who we are, what we do, and how to be in touch with us. Mentor Greater Milwaukee is on all social media outlets. So you can go to Facebook, Instagram. We're on LinkedIn now. So you can go on and, you know, follow all the things we're doing and help us lift up the name and lift up, be an advocate for Mentor. Like, we're always looking for ambassadors. If you want to, you know, if you got a mentoring program in Milwaukee or Greater Milwaukee area for that matter, let us know. And we'll definitely support and lift that information up as well.
Lastly, how does this feel for you to do this, man?
I love it because I love telling them stories, right? You know, everybody has a calling. I think this is one of those callings that I have, and it's to be engaged in some way, making sure our young people know they got the right support and telling those stories of our young people. So this is just a pleasure, Brother Anthony, for you even to think about us and allow us to do this, because again, any platform that we can use to uplift the positive mentoring stories or mentor interactions, then we want to take opportunity to use those platforms to tell our story.
Great. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on and spending time with me in this regard. We're going to blast this out. We're going to help any way we possibly can. Again, thank you so very much. And to give us the website once again, and we're going to close out on that.
Absolutely. Go to MilwaukeeMentor.com.
MilwaukeeMentor.com. And yes, go Bucks.
Go Bucks, baby.
Go
Let's
Bucks.
Get back to
right
back.
on.
Thank
you for coming on the channel, my friend.
All right. You have a great one.
You too.
Bye-bye.